Live. Bills fans, what is up? Obviously, today's the day mum's the word or was the word, but that's going to continue throughout the weekend and on until Monday, until the team starts. I believe it practices tomorrow, but it really has its real first full go on Tuesday. Long week. We're here. Week one is upon us. It's game time. It's go time. Can't wait. The 50 initial. Let's. They should always preface today with initial because there's probably going to be 3 or 4 guys cleared out. We already know Kroom's going to go on IR tomorrow. That's going to open up a spot for maybe a corner. We know that they're going to grab a punter somewhere. Bojorquez, what's up, Damager? How you doing, bro? Bojorquez is probably going to get cut. So you've got Colquitt, Johnny Townsend, you've got Allen, and I believe there's somebody else out there. But those are the three main guys that the Bills can acquire as a punter. There's a few other flex positions that they could cut, and it ain't going to be no skin off my nose. Bodiger, Connor McDermott, Mo Alexander. But that's it. The big surprise for me, honestly, was really nothing. The biggest surprise for me, it wasn't Shady. It was Croft getting put on the 53. I was shocked that he was able to be on the 53. Apparently, they feel like they can get him back before 6 weeks. I think it's between 6 to 8 weeks, so they feel like they can get him back, and then they're going to stash Kroom on IR, and maybe they can designate him for return sometime after week 8 if they feel like they need to. My 53, I got flack for not having Shady. I got flack for not having Duke Williams. Obviously, I missed on a couple, but I mean, I don't know how many times I've seen wide receivers for the Bills these preseason phenoms, and it's just the fans fall in love. The fans fall in love with the preseason phenom wide receiver, and it's just like, oh, we got to keep this guy. I remember back in 15, it was Andre Davis caught the game-winning touchdown against Cleveland from E.J. Manuel when E.J. went like this. Remember Derek Davis? He spelled his name D-A-R. No, it was D-A-R with Derek Rogers. Rogers, the kid that got kicked out of Tennessee back in 13. Everybody loved him, went nuts. So many guys. Brandon Riley, Nick O'Leary. People just fall in love with these guys, and it's just they're either not that good or they're okay. Nick O'Leary was okay. Yeah, that's who it was, Damager. And fans lost their minds when the guy didn't make the team. I've got to trust the coaches that they know things that we don't. At some point, you have to trust that they know things that we don't. And Duke, I think he's a little too late in the game. Maybe they can get him back on the practice squad. Who knows? And if they do, so be it. They can probably put Wade back on there. He's got to clear through waivers, but they got 10 spots. But obviously, the big headline grabber for everybody, mostly outside of Buffalo, some people in Buffalo, was LaShawn McCoy. I just saw no reason, no logic, and just they weren't going to come out and say it, but he was just, what's up, Los? How you doing, man? He was just not going to be on this team. He was just not going to be on this team. Everything they've done is in spite of that. Everything they did going back to when they benched him for missing the team meeting, they put the captaincy on him. He pissed that away. And he's a down year. He's at the age he's at. The team's going in a different direction. They can't, with this current group, he'd be inactive. Are you going to deactivate? You want to see what it looks like when LaShawn McCoy's inactive? The drama, the pouting, the sulking, how he is with the media in the locker room, how surly he is. I mean, it's not a pretty sight. You don't need that around Motor Singletary. You don't need that around the way things are going. They've done everything. They've talked up Gore. Yeldon, I love Yeldon. Empty set Yeldon. That guy is like a wide receiver. And he brings a little size. I know he had the fumble. Everybody lost their shit, but he's still young. He's 25 years old. Again, the big shock for me was Croft making it on 53. 10 linemen right now, that's a little rich for my blood. I think they're going to cut one of those guys. So they got probably like five spots where they can switch guys in and out. And I named them Bojorquez, Mo Alexander, Connor McDermott, Bodker, and Kroom. I don't think they had any. And the reason people are like, oh, well, why don't you trade him? Maybe nobody wanted him. Maybe nobody wants a 31-year-old wide receiver making $8 million that counts $6 million against your cap. Maybe nobody wants an albatross like that. Maybe nobody is willing to give up anything except a conditional pick. The Bills are like, you know what? We got to go through camp. We got to go through preseason. Hey, maybe we'll keep him as insurance. Make sure we get through clean and healthy. And the second we know we're clean and healthy with all of our bodies that we brought in, we release them. Make a little more sense now? Because if you release Shady or trade Shady back whenever, if let's just say you trade him for a conditional pick, which at best is like a 7th. It's a conditional pick that usually means 7th. And Gore goes down in the Lions game. Now you're down to Singletary. And Perry got put on IR with a shoulder. And then Yeldon. So you want to make sure you're covered. And, you know, it happens, man. It happens. And he's gone. He had a good little run with the Bills. A different regime's guy. I'm just excited that they're finally transitioning into the way things should be, where the offense, the team, but more so the offense as a whole is built around the quarterback and not around a featured running back. Matthew says he's surprised about Kirk Coleman. You went to your high school. You're in junior. I was in high school. Really good guy. He's a guy I think they might bring back, Matthew. I think, you know, a vested veteran, they might bring him back after week 1. He can choose where he goes. So I could see him coming back to the Bills after week 1. It depends. Everybody who has under 4 years damager is subject to waivers. So you have to wait till waivers clears out tomorrow at noon. So afternoon tomorrow, you'll start to see names filter in, maybe between 10 and 12. But they go official noon to the league office on Sunday. Every other day is 4 p.m. Monday through Saturday is 4 p.m., but on Sundays, 12. They keep earlier hours on Sunday. Holiday weekend. And I don't know if you guys are watching this. Auburn, Oregon game is ridiculous, crazy. It's nuts. But yeah, that was the big shock. I mean, I think it was the biggest shock in the NFL till yeah, we got to look at punters, Matthew. I already hit on that quick. Colquitt. There's 3 very, 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 very viable options, and I would happy with any one of them over Bojorquez, but because you cannot go into the season with Corey Bojorquez as your punter. He's too inconsistent, man. The guy is a ticking time bomb, gonna blow you a game. He's gonna hurt you, and not in a good way. But those 3 names, my preference would be Allen or Colquitt. So that's who I would assume maybe the Bills might look at because they have a glaring need there. I was really upset they couldn't swing a trade for Chase McLaughlin because he's going to get claimed or picked up by somebody. Maybe the Bills can throw him on their, I don't know, something. I was hoping the Bills could get a trade for him, something. I was a little irritated that they tried and couldn't, but man, the guy clips a 54-yarder, easy money. The guy was perfect on his PATs. He was 3 for 3 in preseason and field goals. I was hoping the Bills could definitely get something for him with the state of kicking in the NFL, particularly with the Vikings, the Bears, even the Jets. Fuck it. Go fleece them for some picks. But shit got crazy later on in the afternoon, just to veer off the Bills a little bit. What the fuck is going on in Houston? Holy shit. I am glad I'm not a Houston Texans fan. What a mess. They can get Tunsil. They can do what a mess. Two first and a second for him just because they blew it on not getting Andre Dillard. And then Miami, they're in full fledged. Just they have really just totally just goes to show what they feel about Rosen. The fact that they're just going to even put him in that situation. That is insane. The no offensive line whatsoever down there. Yeah, they better hope two is good, man. You can collect and accumulate all the picks you want. We've seen the Cleveland Browns do that for years, man, almost half a decade. And if you blow those picks, it doesn't matter. You've got to hit those picks. Those picks have to be aces, and if not, you have to be able to flip them for better things. Whether you trade back or trade up, you got to hit them. Those things have to be hits because you do all this, you're going to suffer. We thought the Bills were going to suffer in 17, but things changed. I'm not saying they can't be competitive. I'm not saying they can't, give people good games because they're scrappy. They're a scrappy group, and we'll see what they do. But that's a tough situation for a quarterback to be behind that offensive line. Really tough. And then Seattle doing what they did for Clowney. And I didn't want any part of Clowney. I don't want a guy who's potentially a rental and a guy that is going to be looking for big money that you'd have to pay. He comes into your locker room from a different culture, different environment. Maybe he's kind of entitled. Maybe he feels like he's going to come in and be the A-dog, and that can upset the apple cart. And I don't want that. Yeah, man, if Fitz is going to get hammered and Rosen's going to get hammered, it's shocking that they're going to put those two behind that line. And those guys, I mean, Fitz has some mobility, but Rosen, he can motor a little bit, but it's nothing compared to Allen, of course, or any of the other, Lamar Jackson. They're in for it, bro. But around the East, nothing really shocking. I know the Jets made a few trades, secondary trades, and they picked up. Yeah, well, they made like 3 secondary trades. They traded a guy away, and they got a couple of guys, but their cornerback depth is a little hurting. So I think maybe the Bills can put some balls up in the air and take advantage of them a little bit week one. The way I'm looking at, the way we know, the older Bills fans know, the way Greg Williams likes to play defense. He is a man guy. He loves man. He very rarely, if ever, veers away from playing man coverage. If he does, he plays that angel defense where that safety just plays like as far back as possible. So maybe they can eat them up between 20 and 30, but their corners are in bad shape. Yeah, I'm not interested. I'm just not interested in a guy like him, especially with his injury history. The lack of double-digit sacks, I just never was like, what's the allure here? He's the first overall pick. There was generational talent in that draft. There was, and Clowney doesn't seem like he was one. Watkins definitely wasn't. I would say there was 3. Aaron Donald, Khalil Mack, and Odell Beckham Jr. Those were the 3 guys that were the studs in that 14 draft. Now we know. Was it? Oh, you always know 3-4 years later. Well, we know now who the real alpha dogs were. But I know you guys are probably a little shocked about seeing Shady, and it is. You actually see enough so that Brandon Beane came out and did a conference call to basically address it. He wasn't going to address any other moves other than LaShawn McCoy, and they just went down the myriad of reasons why, and they took it down to the last hour, they said. And I think this move has been in the hopper for a while. They just had to try to put a pretty bow on it. Yeah, I don't know what that trade was about. I don't know how to pronounce your name. Dantino, the pink icon. I'm sorry, man. I don't know how to pronounce it. I don't want to mess it all up and sound stupid, but yeah, the trade, Barkevius Mingo and Martin, like they just basically, it's like they throw him away. It's like they gave the guy away, and they waited this whole time to trade him. It's insane. Just like the Chargers. The Chargers all of a sudden now are letting Gordon seek a trade. I want no part of that either. I want this team like I feel like they're going. I want them built around their quarterback. I want them built around Josh Allen. I don't want them built around a running back. I don't want them built around. I mean, a ground game has to augment, supplement everything, obviously, but I want a rotational back system. I don't want a feature back system anymore. I'm tired of that. Unless you get a generational guy that's rare, and those are very rare, but like Zeke's holdout, Gurley's knee, there's all different types of shit that can happen with these backs. You know, look at Le'Veon Bell. I mean, they're getting testy now. They're getting pissed off that they're not getting paid and they're getting cut early. So you gotta get them in and get them out quick. Oh, Dan. Okay, I'll call you Dan then, man. Sorry, I didn't want to mess up your name because I don't know, what your handle signifies or doesn't. But it was not. Uh, you benefit, but it depends. At this time of year, it really doesn't matter. This time of year, it maybe in the off season, maybe sometime around the not so much around the draft, but in the off season, like early on when free agency happens, but you don't really know when a guy is going to hold out. Everything that the reports were Zeke is probably going to be in for the Cowboy. He probably just wanted to skip camp. He didn't want to have anything to do with the preseason. Didn't want to have anything to do with any type of camp. Just wanted to go do his own thing and get away. And he'd probably be back sometime later in this week or early this week. But yeah, just as long as the Bills don't have none of those type of issues, none of those type of distractions, I'm all for it. And yo, what's up, Tim? How you doing, bro? LaShawn McCoy, going back to the running backs, would have probably been a distraction at some point. Because he's a versatile player who plays special teams. He's a captain and he's a leader. And he caught some passes for the Bills last year in regular season games. Remember that one wheel route he had? Really nice pass. He caught a similar one against the Chargers, but Allen threw behind him. He still caught the other one against the Dolphins in Miami, and he was on the run. But everybody's going to knock a fullback. A fullback offers you versatility in the run game. He can split out. He does a lot of things. DeMarco's a good football player. If Bill Belichick sees a fullback as a viable thing to have on your roster, I'm going to default to Bill Belichick and say a fullback is a viable thing to have on your roster because he's carried around fullbacks his whole career. And I actually heard him talk like 10 minutes about why he carries a fullback on his roster in some Friday press conference 3 years ago. Yeah, but you use them as you need them. You don't use them as you don't force them. You use them as you need them. I mean, again, Duke did some good things, but he also was doing them against guys who are probably not in the league right now, and let's be real, he was doing them against guys that are second, third teamers, guys that are practice squad caliber at best. And if the Bills keep him on and are able to develop him or get something more out of him, that's going to be awesome. But if not, sorry about that. But, you can't get all emotionally attached. I mean, LaShawn McCoy, there's some emotional attachment there. I mean, he made big plays for the Bills in regular season when they counted. He helped them get to the playoffs. He came back and played pretty well in that playoff game when he was injured, his ankle in Miami. So this is so annoying. I'm sorry, guys. Just because some asshole was lighting off fireworks in my street. Unbelievable. Yeah, I know, Dan. I feel like they can use him. They use him as they need him. If they want to be versatile and use him, they don't want to use them. They feel it's more advantageous to spread a team out. They'll do that. If they feel it's more advantageous to go, put him in and then go empty or have him in the backfield, they line him up at H-back tight end. So he has a lot of versatility. He plays like 2-3 units on special teams. he's a guy that's up on the 46. He's got one more year on his contract with the Bills, so again, he's a solid player, and he gets a lot of stink for not a lot of reasons. I mean, he does a lot of things for them, and that's important. You can't have one trick pony. Your one trick ponies have to be elite players, basically. If you have an elite player, he can be a one trick pony. Like your wide receivers. Three, why do you think Zay Jones is showing he can play special teams? Robert Foster is showing to play in special teams. Isaiah McKenzie, we already know he can play on special teams because Beasley, Brown are not going to play special teams. Andre Roberts is, but when you only have 46, numbers get tight. Johnson, I'm not shocked. He was so close to making like 2 or 3 interceptions this preseason. He's smart. They love him in the building. He's not a measurements guy, a test guy, like run fast, be a certain size, weight, speed, all that shit. But he's one of those guys that's always around the ball. Think of Matt Milano. He's just always around the ball. He just seems to be always in the right place at the right time. And he's another guy that they want to keep, and they didn't want to expose him to waivers. And that's a good thing if they feel because I saw he almost had he had his hands on 2 balls for sure in the preseason, and they were just so close. He broke on one, it kind of bounced away from him, and another one, the ball, when he went to the ground, the ball came out and hit the ground. I was so pissed. But he's a solid player. Your connection is unstable. Please wait while we try to reconnect. I don't know why it's unstable. Let me see. I don't know if you guys can still see me or not. Let me know in the chat. Okay, it says it's back. Saran Neal's more of a corner. He's more of a nickel corner. So people were talking about they only kept so many safeties and so many corners. They're going to use him a lot. They're going to use him a lot in that Raphael Bush role. And I think he had a sack against Aaron Rodgers. I'm pretty sure he had a sack against Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay. So, thanks, Matthew. I appreciate it. It said that I had big warning came across the thing and said it was interrupted and unstable video, whatever. So I was worried that the thing cut out. But yeah, again, initial 53. There's going to be probably 4 or 5 moves more that are going to come all the way up into maybe Tuesday. Again, so I'm not. Their first probably real go practice is Tuesday for the Jets. I know they practice tomorrow. They definitely practice tomorrow. They don't on Monday, and then they go boom, boom. Wait, they might actually on Monday. So we'll see. But they're pretty much on regular season schedule now on a long week. So it's here, guys. I'm really excited. I'm amped that they finally transitioned the team towards a more modern, towards a more this is Brian Daboll. This is his Patriots roots. Rotational running backs, flexible, versatile tight ends, small, shifty receivers with some guys who can, beat you over the top. And, they got a lot of offensive line depth. Oh, I bet you they are. They have to be. That's the business, man. It's a 24-hour business. You gotta hope that they are doing that. It would behoove them not to. They just can't sit over there and hang out like back in the day and say, hey, everything's good. We'll just figure it out as we go. You gotta have a plan. You think the guy up in New England doesn't have a plan? Maybe some of his moves work, but a lot of his moves do work. Granted, he's got the quarterback to do it with, but still they make some sage moves here and there. And the division's in a huge transition phase because that's not going to last too much longer over there. So the Bills have to strike while the iron's hot. And this is a very, very important time. Whatever the Dolphins do or don't do, whether they fuck up or maybe get something right, who knows? The Jets, it's important to beat on them, make sure that they don't come up a little bit. They're direct competition. I'm not sitting here rooting for Darnold to win. I'm not sitting here rooting for Darnold to be good. They shouldn't be doing the same for Allen either. But again, I'd rather be us than them. knowing their organization here. It's not well run. It's not well run. Yeah, they cut a third round pick this year that another GM made because a new regime came in that wasn't in line with the head coach who had his own agenda. Came in so it's a mess. That should tell you right there, it's a mess. Yeah, it's been a disgusting 2 decades, but those 2 decades were filled with absentee ownership, and I'm glad that's gone, and I'm glad we're all here together right now, hopefully witnessing the start of something big. I mean, you see the videos, the guys going ape shit on the sidelines for a fourth preseason game where guys that they know aren't going to be in the league no more are making plays and scoring touchdowns and having the time of their life and making memories that are going to last forever. But you see Allen, you see Deion Dawkins, you see Poyer on the sidelines just getting, gassed up, seeing those guys have fun and winning. And it was good. It was good to see them come back and win that game and get everybody excited and go into the regular season with the right vibe and the right frame of mind. And just knowing that, this whole team is really cohesive, that they're not just, an offense over here, a defense over here, and there's all this, confusion, or there's that separate, maybe some of you older Bills fans remember it was like that with Jerry Gray, Greg Williams, Kevin Gilbride, Mike Mularkey. Those units were really separate. They were out there they were two different teams wearing the same uniform, basically, an offense and a defense. It is, and I know people make fun of it. People say it's bullshit. It doesn't matter. I mean, look at those Rex teams. What was the culture like? It was terrible. There was no culture. And you have mercenaries, when you have guys with their own agendas. Gailey tried, but he was too old, a little too out of touch. Settling on a journeyman quarterback, So we don't need to talk about those days no more. We're here now, 2019. I'm ready to roll. I know you guys are too. I'm super excited. I'm just anxious to see. I'm just nervous about a couple of things. One, the punter. They're gonna have to punt, and the guy has to be consistent. And I don't want to see blocks. I don't want to see the guy thinking it's a fake field goal and fucking up the hold. And then all the stuff that happened with Bojorquez last year to the point where he got himself injured. And they have guys like Matt Darr, and they brought Colton Schmidt back in. It was just a big mess. So I don't need to see none of that stuff going on this year. I just want some good, clean, consistent special teams. If we're not talking about it, it's good. Make a nice return here and there, but none of that craziness. Yeah, man. It's good to not have a quarterback be a wet mop and you just kind of sitting in there soaking. Even Tyrod would do that. You really never saw. I mean, not that the camera's on him all the time. You don't see it all the time. You only see what they show you. So I'm not saying he didn't do it, but I never really saw him engage much on the sideline. I don't ever remember Trent engaging on the sideline. I kind of always remember, Fitzpatrick with the offensive coordinator or just kind of sitting. I never remember the animation or the hype on the sideline. And that for fans, I'm sorry, maybe people read too much into that or that doesn't mean much, but fans love that shit. And for the fans to like, I'm all for. But I'm not going to make this too long, guys. It was a long ass day. We all got up early. The cuts came in hot and heavy, and they didn't announce it till like after 4:20 for some reason. But it's always worth the wait because we know the season's right around the corner, and we'll see whatever moves come in drips and drabs tomorrow because it's going to happen anywhere between 10 a.m. Eastern and 12 p.m. Eastern. That's when you'll see any claims that they make, practice squad, flipping out a guy on 53. All right, guys, have a great one. Take care. Go Bills. I have to make it an early evening because I have an early morning. So it was always good talking to y'all. I really appreciate it. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. Go Bills. Love you guys. And whatever they do, within the next 24 to 40 hours, I'll be back to bullshit with you guys about it, okay? Peace, guys. Love you guys.